All right, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode 81 of the WMMA Scene Report regular show, where we go over everything going on within the world of the women's divisions of mixed martial arts, fight reviews, news, previews, a little bit of everything. So without further ado, let's get down into it. Let's go to where we always start with this past weekend's reviews. So first up, we're going to Singapore for one championship. Big Bang had two ladies fights, both of them in their 115-pound, what they call the atomweight division. First up, Ritu Phogat defeated Jo Marie Torres via TKO via elbows from crucifix, 4 minutes 55 seconds of the first round. Phogat stayed undefeated, climbed to 4-0. Torres fell to 4-5. Look, I'm not going to go over what actually happened in the fight. All I'm going to say is this. I'm sick and tired of Ritu Phogat getting just these easy fights. They finally give her someone who actually had some wins to her record, but it's someone who was at 500 and hadn't won a fight since 2017, 2018. You know what? Can we get someone decent in against Ritu Phogat? Can we at least finally see her tested now that she's had 4 fights? Please? I don't think that's too much to ask for. All right, next up. Also in the same weight class, Jillian Robertson defeated B. Nguyen via unanimous decision. Robertson climbed to 6-2. Nguyen fell to 5-6. You know, by the end, when the decision was read aloud, B. Nguyen had like a look of shock on her face, and I'll be honest, I don't know why. I don't know what her coaches were telling her, but I didn't have her up on this in my scoring. I mean, one championship doesn't do round by round scoring, it's a whole fight. But based on the whole fight, I didn't have her winning this fight. I don't know why she was so surprised. Apparently nobody else really had her winning the fight either, other than her and I guess her coaches. So she now has a sub 500 record. Don't be surprised if she's the next one fed to Ritu Phogat. Robertson hadn't fought in a while, but had a decent fight. You know, had some bad moments, but had some good moments as well. Okay, so we're moving to a Friday night. LFA 96 had one ladies bout. Supposed to be flyweight. Ended up being a 128 catchweight, according to Topology. Lisa Malden defeated Mitzi Mary via unanimous decision. Malden climbed to 4-2. Mitzi fell to 2-2. I fell asleep on Friday. I didn't get to watch this fight, unfortunately. And then finally on Saturday, Octagon 19 in the Czech Republic had one ladies bout in the Bantamweight division. UFC veteran Lucia Pudilova defeated Cornelia Holm via unanimous decision. Pudilova climbed to 9-6. Holm fell to 4-3. Nice to see Pudilova get back, onto the winning side of things. Granted, it was against a less experienced opponent, but I mean, that's pretty much what the type of opponent she's going to be facing for a while if she stays with Octagon and, in Czech Republic, Slovakia. But it is nice to see her get back, to her winning ways. All right, so that was it for this past weekend's reviews. So let's move on into the news. Not a whole lot to go over, but it is pretty packed. All right, first up, Icon FF4 goes down tomorrow night, December 11th on UFC Fight Pass. They added a flyweight bout. Kayla Rocco coming in at 2-2, taking on Carolyn Hinojosa, making her pro debut. Rocco just fought for Icon in, 2-3 weeks ago? Big, fast turnaround for the Floridian. Next up, UFC Fight Night on December 19th added a flyweight bout between Jillian Robertson, 9-4, and Tyler Santos coming in at 6-1. So Santos was supposed to fight this past weekend. That fight got canceled because her opponent, Montana De La Rosa, one of her cornermen, tested positive for COVID, so they had to pull her from the fight. And then Robertson was supposed to fight Andrea Lee this Saturday at UFC 256. Lee fell out with a broken nose. So now Robertson and Santos are going to duke it out on the 19th. Much like De La Rosa, this is a step up for Santos. Good chance to prove herself. Robertson, I think she's going to have this should be a challenge for Robertson because Santos is a very athletic fighter, and that is the type of fighter that Robertson tends to have a hard time dealing with. Then next up in the news, UFC Fight Night on February 20th added a flyweight bout between Shanna Dobson and the debutante Casey O'Neill. So 2 UFC debutantes in a row for Shanna Dobson. Much like Dobson's last opponent, Maria Gapova, Casey O'Neill comes with a lot of promise, but I actually would favor O'Neill more than a Gapova just because O'Neill seems like less of a head case, I guess. But we'll have to see. And then in the news, Angela Hill, who was supposed to fight this weekend, had to pull out with COVID. Her scheduled opponent, Teesha Torres, is now going to fight LFA standout Sam Hughes. That's, of course, this weekend. We'll be going over that fight in just a little bit. Also in the news, CFFC 91 goes down December 19th in Philadelphia. That's going to air on UFC Fight Pass. They added a strawweight title bout between the champion Elise Reed and Invicta veteran Jillian Robertson. Now, Robertson is moving up from atomweight to take on the CFFC strawweight champion. And then next, at Octagon number 20 goes down December 30th in the Czech Republic. Fast turnaround for Octagon. They added a strawweight bout between the undefeated Evelina Wozniak coming in 3-0. She is taking on Magdalena Sermova. Sermova, I like what I've seen from her so far. She has that win over Kay Hansen last year in Invicta and has still been doing pretty good things since then. She just defeated Minna Grusander in Grusander's strawweight debut, and Wozniak looks promising as well at 3-0 with some names over some decent opponents. And then back to some UFC news. Michelle Waterson is out of her fight against Amanda Hebos at UFC 257 on January 23rd. The UFC is targeting Marina Rodriguez to replace her. Now, that has not been confirmed yet. That is the targeted replacement. I haven't seen it confirmed yet, though. And then Valor FC, Valor Fighting Challenge, Valor FC 77 goes down January 9th in Knoxville, Tennessee. They have 3 ladies bouts. First up is a bantamweight bout between Christina Adcock, coming in at 3-4, taking on Invicta veteran Serena De Jesus, coming in at 1-2. Actually, both of them have fought for Invicta. Then at strawweight, Bellator veteran Emily King, coming in at 4-4, is taking on another Bellator veteran, Jessica Ruiz, coming in at 0-2. And then finally, a bantamweight bout between Morgan Hickam, coming in 1-2, taking on Hannah Rosario, coming in 0-1. Obviously, not the most impressive of fights. This is a very good example of a regional fight show. Valor is very much a regional level show. The fights are taking place in Tennessee, and they're planning on actually having a crowd in attendance. And 3 out of these 6 fighters are from Tennessee. This is, like I said, a very good example of what you will see in regional MMA. And you know what? The fights will probably be fairly exciting. Regional fights tend to be pretty exciting, if not the highest level. And then finally in the news, Japanese flyweight standout Kana Watanabe, who has a record of 9-0-1, has signed with Bellator. Now, she has been fighting with Ryzen and Deep Jewels. Now, her last fight was last year during Bellator's card in Japan. She has not fought since then, and now she has officially signed with Bellator. And you know what? I think it's a good move for her because Deep Jewels doesn't really have any flyweights for her, and Ryzen hasn't really found anyone for her in quite a while either. So I think this is a good move for Watanabe as long as Bellator can keep her active. And she is a pretty promising fighter. I expect her to get right into the mix of the Bellator flyweight division. Okay, so that is it for the news for this past week. Normally we go into the rankings update. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. There's one small change in the UFC rankings at strawweight. Teesha Torres was moved down 1 spot from 9 to 10. She was tied at number 9 with Amanda Hebos, and now she no longer is. A bit of a weird move. Normally they don't move down fighters the week that they're going to have a fight. Doesn't really make any sense to me, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's it for the rankings. So let's move along into what's going to be our final segment for the evening, and we're going to keep this real fast, the weekend preview. So first up, we're going to Bellator later tonight as I record this on Thursday.
Know what we're doing. You'd be stupid not to use us.
They're going to have one bout in the flyweight division, a flyweight championship between undefeated champion Elimele McFarlane and the challenger, the undefeated Juliana Velazquez. McFarlane coming in 11-0, Velazquez coming in 10-0. Velazquez, the elder fighter, 34 years to McFarlane's 30. Now, the challenger will be the taller fighter, 5 feet 6 inches, 167 centimeters, to McFarlane's 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters. Velazquez has the reach advantage as well, 67.5 inches, 171 centimeters, to McFarlane's 66.5 inches, 169 centimeters. Now, I did do a full preview on this. If you still have time to watch it, please go do before the fights start. I'm going to be hurrying up and rushing this out. But I'm going with Juliana Velazquez to win this one. I just think that, she's the overall better athlete. She's the more well-rounded fighter. McFarlane's best chance is to get Velazquez down early and go for a sub before they work up a good sweat. I think that is McFarlane's best chance, and really probably her only chance of winning is to get an early submission. She could get a later one. She has before, but I think her better chance here is to get it early. But I'm going to go with Juliana Velazquez to win this one and become the new Bellator flyweight champion. Moving along to Friday, we have Icon FF4. Icon Fighting Federation 4 has 2 ladies bouts. First up at flyweight, we have Carolyn Hinojosa taking on Carolyn Harako. I have 0 stats for Hinojosa. She is making her pro debut. Kayla K-Rock Harako comes in at 2-2. She is coming off a win over Jessica Solis at Icon FF3 2 weeks ago. She is 29 years old. She stands 5 feet 3 inches, 160 centimeters tall, and has a reach of 64 inches, 163 centimeters. I'm going to go with Kayla Harako to win this just because she's not the debutante. Hinojosa could come in and win. I don't know. I just don't know anything about her. So I'm going to go with the fighter that I do know, Kayla Harako, who, has a mixed record, but has the momentum at least coming into this fight. Then also at this event, in the main event, a featherweight bout between Bella Mir and Amanda Garcia. I believe the picture says Cespedes. I believe that's her nickname. Mir is coming in at 1-0. Cespedes is making her debut. I have 0 information on Cespedes. Mir is 17 years old, stands 5 feet 7, 170 centimeters, coming in with a reach of 67 inches, 170 centimeters. Now, Mir just made her pro debut about a month and a half ago, picked up a unanimous decision win. Now, that was supposed to be a bantamweight bout, and she missed weight. She weighed in, I believe, around 137. So now she's moving up to featherweight already. In her second fight, of course, Bella Mir is the daughter of former UFC champion Frank Mir. I'm going to go with Mir to win here as well, just because she is the known commodity. Then on Saturday, we have UFC 256, originally scheduled to have, I believe, 3 ladies bouts, and there have been a lot of changes to this card. So we are down to 2 ladies bouts, both of them in the strawweight division. First up, we have Teesha, the Tiny Tornado Torres, taking on Paige Hughes. Torres coming in 11-5. Paige coming in 5-1. Torres coming in off of a win over Brianna Van Buren 5 months ago. Before that, had that long, 4-fight losing streak, but to all top contenders, former champions, or the current champion. Hughes coming off a win over Daniela Hindley with a buzzer beater guillotine choke where she completely choked the girl out just under 2 months ago. Before that, had a loss to Vanessa Demopoulos where she got choked out herself. Torres, the elder fighter, 31 years to Hughes' 28 years. Hughes going to have a nice height advantage, 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters, to Torres' 5 feet 1 inch, 155 centimeters. And Hughes will have a reach advantage as well, 64.5 inches, 164 centimeters, to Torres' 61 inches, 155 centimeters. I'm going to go with Teesha Torres to win this one. One, she's not coming in on week's notice. She's been preparing for a fight just with a different opponent. But two, Hughes just does not have the experience. And honestly, she is just not ready for an opponent of Torres' caliber. Nothing that Hughes is going to bring to the game. And Hughes does have a nice game. She's a good fighter for 5-1. But Hughes is just not going to bring anything that Torres has not seen or fought against before. I just see Torres picking up the win here, most likely by unanimous decision. Next up on the main card, we have Mckenzie Dern taking on Vern Janjadoba. I honestly don't know how to pronounce her last name. Dern coming in 9-1. Janjaroba coming in at 16-1. Dern coming in off of 2 straight wins over Hannah Cipher 6 months ago and then Randa Marcos 2 months ago. Janjaroba also coming in off of 2 straight wins. First up over Mallory Martin a year ago, and then most recently fought 3 months ago where she submitted Felice Herrig. Janjaroba is the elder fighter by 5 years, 32 years to Dern's 27. Dern's going to be slightly taller, 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters, to Janjaroba's 5 feet 3 inches, 160 centimeters. Janjaroba does have a reach advantage, though, 64 inches, 163 centimeters to Dern's 63 inches, 160 centimeters. So the height and reach kind of cancel each other out here. So here you have 2 ground fighters who their striking game is not so good. And just like when you have 2 very good ground fighters here, the big worry is that it's going to turn into a terrible, and I mean terrible, kickboxing bout. It happens so often when you get 2 ground fighters like this against each other. It could happen. I don't know if it will, though. From the technical standpoint, I would give the striking advantage to Janjaroba. But what Dern has is power in her hands. And she's not afraid to throw it, and she just generally shows no fear of her opponent's striking, no matter how good it is. Now, if it goes to the ground, Dern does not have very good takedowns. If it goes to the ground, it could almost happen by accident, like when Dern slipped throwing a kick and against Marcos and fell to the ground, and Marcos was dumb enough to follow her. I don't know if Janjaroba will be dumb enough to follow her like that there. On the ground, I'm going to give the advantage to Mckenzie Dern. And honestly, I'm going to go with Dern to win here. I hate picking Dern, but I hate picking against her and then being wrong, which has happened on at least 2 occasions now. But I'm going to go with Dern. And my big problem with Dern is that she's basically to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu what Ronda Rousey was to Judo when they came in. Both very good at it, and honestly, unwilling to really work on the other aspects that they need work on, which with Ronda was her striking. With Dern, it's both her striking and her takedowns. Dern just likes to throw heavy hands and doesn't really throw any technique behind it. And that's why she reminds me a lot of Ronda Rousey. But anyway, we're going with Mckenzie Dern to win. So that is it for this weekend's preview, and that is it for episode number 81 of the WMMA Scene Report. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on anything we went over in tonight's episode. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And while you're at it, go ahead, subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.